What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, Ernest Dove. I am back because the baby Mets are coming back, ladies and gentlemen. The baby Mets are almost here. The Florida Complex League Mets and the league itself starts tomorrow with some game action. I wanted to start bringing up some names. A few of the ones I can give some kind of info on, some kind of insight, maybe some sarcasm. It's what I do. But I wanted to break down a few of the players listed on the roster, and at least for now, knock on wood, some of the players listed active on the roster before the games actually start. Let's see what happens when it starts. No idea who's starting, who's an everyday player. Just wanted to bring up some of the names for your Florida Complex League baby Mets. One name I wanted to bring up, 19-year-old right-handed pitcher Wellington Aracena, 80 grade hair. That's really all I want to talk about. He's got the hair. I'm hoping from the end of last season he still had it. Praise God, please let him still have his hair and its color, because Wellington Aracena is going to be one of those dudes. Uh, Stats wise, he got into 11 games last year, started 10 of them in the DSL, Dominican Summer League, 43 innings, 46 Ks. He had 23 walks, so there's the command thing. I feel like I talk about this in every video I ever make. But another guy, young pitcher, some command stuff going on, but he's got the high K rate. He's got the 212 opponent batting average in this kind of limited time in the DSL last year. But again, you know what? I got to bring him up first and foremost. So again, Wellington Aracena and his 80 grade hair, keep an eye on him. I know even the staff and scouts loved him. They love the personality. So I want to see how it translates now stateside and how he looks in games. The other guy I wanted to bring up, I know nothing about. Daviel Hurtado. He was one of those guys from Cuba signed last year during that period in January 2023. Got a big bonus. I believe it was $640,000 for a left-hander who is reportedly able to hit 95 on the gun with his fastball with a really good breaking ball, curveball, I believe. And then he never pitched last year. He was on the 60-day IL at some point after being listed in the organization. And then he's taken off the list at the end of last season. So he's listed as active. Daviel Hurtado. Anytime you have a guy, 19 years old, a left-hander who can said to maybe touch up to 95 already for a lefty, kind of love that. Maybe a really good breaking ball, really good curveball. I just want to see what happens. What is he going to be? No idea. Maybe he's one of those Felipe de la Cruz type guys. Maybe he'll be really hard throwing, great breaking ball, but then we'll have to worry about command off the bat. So maybe that's something to keep an eye on. Not really a comp. I'm just throwing out a name because I love Felipe de la Cruz. So I wanted to bring him up. Let's see who else we got. The other guy I want, we never have enough catchers, so we might as well talk about one. Even though technically, talking to the Mets, not even sure what his future position will even be. But I want to talk about Julio Zayas. The 18-year-old put up really good numbers last year. I think it was DSL, hit 307, 368 on base percentage, 517 slugging, 885 OPS. Defensively, he played catcher, first base, third base, and he also DH'd a little in the lower levels last year. Again, defensively, I couldn't get a commitment from the Mets staff to really talk about where he projects defensively. So again, it's not really a knock saying maybe he can't handle catching. Just my overall understanding is that they liked his hit tool from the day of signing. That was probably the priority. And now defensively, it's like, hey, young kid, still 18. Let's figure it out for him. But Julio Zayas seems like a really, really good bat guy. I don't want to classify him as bat first as an 18-year-old already. So I just want to say the Mets believe in the hit tool. So now he's just one of those athletes. Let's see where he's going to play in the field, even obviously stateside. Let's see, is he going to catch? How often is he going to catch? Again, it's South Florida, and this is morning baseball at 10 a.m. a lot, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be steaming already by 10 a.m., so it's going to be rough on everyone who catches. I'm sure there's going to be a huge rotation. Everyone's going to be catching on different days. But keep an eye on Julio Zayas. Another huge guy is that I really love as a fielder, more of a middle infielder, Branny DeOlio. Now, I believe I talked a lot about him last summer, and he basically hit the entire season last year in the DSL. He hit 313, 403 on base percentage, 476 slugging, 879 OPS. He had 12 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs in his 46 games. It's a really cool story for Branny DeOlio. Not like super amazing or interesting, but my understanding talking to the Mets organization last summer is that, to be honest, they weren't really sure where DeOlio was going to fit at the beginning of the DSL season for either team, the orange and the blue. And then there happened to have been multiple injuries coming out of the spring camp of sorts in the DSL for some middle infielders. So Branny DeOlio was kind of forced into an everyday role. And obviously, based on the numbers, he shined. So that's why I think it's really exciting for a young kid like this to take advantage of that opportunity. And now I want to see what he does stateside because, again, if you've been following some of my videos or follow me on Twitter X, I talk about like 50 middle infielders that the Mets have, moving guys around at this point between second, short, third, some guys getting outfield. So among everything, I want to see where DeOlio even plays day to day. But again, another guy with a really good hit tool took advantage of his opportunities. Now I'm excited to see where he could even fit in a day-to-day lineup or the roster going forward in the FCL. The other young kid I wanted to talk about is one of the last year's draft picks out of high school, A.J. Ewing. Again, completely new, drafted in the 4th round last year. He only got a cup of coffee pretty much in the FCL last year after the draft. They snuck him into like maybe 5 games. He played a little bit of second base, center field, and left field. So now I just want to basically just see more of a season from A.J. Ewing. I want to see how some of these guys pan out. I know Boston Barrow, who I interviewed, who's already now hit the low A level already. He already snuck out from the backfields to low A. So I want to see how guys like Boston Barrow up into low A, and I want to see now guys how A.J. Ewing are going to do in the FCL throughout the season. And again, like a lot of these kids, I need to know what position they're going to play or how many. But overall, I just want to see about this A.J. Ewing to see what kind of player the Mets have this season. The next guy to talk about, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Rodriguez. All right, shout out to everyone who, of course, loves Jeremy Rodriguez. Even Tim Healy, I know how much you love Jeremy Rodriguez, so shout out, Tim. Let's talk about Jeremy Rodriguez, who did a few things when after that Tommy Pham trade, which may go down in history and lore or something. Let's give him a plaque. Let's add Tommy Pham's plaque in the Hall of Fame speech or something when Jeremy Rodriguez makes the Hall of Fame. But all right, so Jeremy Rodriguez seems like he was strictly a shortstop, and I've even been sneaking into reading some articles and publications. They're trying to project if he'll have to be moved off shortstop at some point. What would be a better position for him? But you know what? It makes sense anyway. Rather than joke about the Mets having Lindor, even position-wise, the Mets are so full of catchers, arms, and middle infielders. They're going to have to move even guys like Jeremy Rodriguez around. By the way, Jeremy Rodriguez still technically is 17 years old. So he was putting up these ridiculous numbers with the Mets. He gets traded, shows up in the Mets DSL affiliate. Over 13 games, he hit 422. He had a 1.247 OPS. That's how ridiculous it was when he showed up to the Mets organization in their league in the DSL. So again, let's see how he does now stateside. Let's see the excitement. He's only 17 years old. I really don't think I'm probably going to get to see him in low A. But hey, you know what? Anything's possible for the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Rodriguez. One of the other names I wanted to talk about, another teenager, 19 years old, D'Angelo Sarmiento. Now, this is more about a projectability type young player. When I was talking to Mets scouts and Mets staff last summer, you start mentioning things like slash lines. He wasn't really doing anything super high, super productive. So this is more of one of those kids we believe in type of players. And again, a lot can happen from that. I'll get into a couple of other names later, but guys like Willie Fanis and Simon Wan last season, they were struggling a lot. And I talked to staff and they were like, give it time. We like the tools themselves. And I think Sarmiento is one of those young players. We need to give him time and then see how the tools can start to come together at an older age. Again, he's still only 19, but obviously a good opportunity to leave him, in the FCL, maybe even the whole season as needed to see what they have in him. Same goes for obviously a different player, not from the DSL perspective, but from the high school draft perspective, is Jake Satella, one of those players that almost seemingly came out of nowhere in the 16th round last year. The Mets ended up giving him about 200,000, which is only about 50,000 over that slot that would go from that time period. So it wasn't like a huge overslot. It wasn't a huge overpay. But whenever you can get teenagers and high school players out of the draft, what do they see in him? He only got a small cup of coffee as well last year, getting into some games, played first base and third base. Does that mean he's more of a corner infielder guy going forward? Let's see. Obviously, when you say things like that to me, first base, third base, what's the power going to look like? But again, not really sure how much power you're going to show at 10 a.m. in South Florida in the heat. So let's not really worry about even a lot of the numbers altogether. But I want to see how Jake Satella does during the season. So obviously check the box scores. Let's even see how often he plays and at what position. The final positions I want to talk about are 3 players, all outfielders. And I literally just talked about a couple of them, so might as well bring them up again. One of them is Willie Fanis. Now, Willie Fanis is one of those big bonus babies from a few years back. He got a huge signing bonus, so obviously there was a lot of expectations. And so far, the now 20-year-old Willie Fanis has not strived, has not excelled in the box scores. But when I was talking to staff last summer, into the late summer, they said, hey, he's young. Let's see how things turn around. Because, again, it's one of those things. We believe in the projections. We believe in the tools. So give him time. Now, at 20 years old, in the FCL, you're already kind of seemingly trying to push it at this point. So you have to already feel, putting pressure on a 20-year-old, this could be an extremely important season for Willie Fanis to kind of put himself in the echelon where it seemed like he was going to belong based on the signing bonus alone. Maybe is he going to be a much younger, lower level version of an Alex Ramirez as far as having a monster season this year in the FCL? I would love to see something like that out of Willie Fanis. So let's go ahead, and wait it out. The other outfielder is a lot younger of sorts, 18-year-old Simon Juan. Now, he's someone I was talking about a little bit last summer. I feel like I was getting into some debates, too, with people on social media about, hey, man, I still believe in him. But again, it's not always my opinion. I'm talking to Mets staff. Mets staff told me, don't really worry about the box scores. We believe in his youth. We believe in the projections and the tools. And what was happening at the end of last season, in August, right when the season ended, he had this about 13 or 12 to 13 game stint in August where he hit 290 with a 371 on-base percentage. So he was starting to put it together in the FCL. But again, at 18 years old, it was pretty obvious to me all offseason he was likely going to repeat an FCL, and here he is being listed on the roster. And then, by the way, for everyone who was watching some spring games, 18-year-old Simon Juan in Major League spring games was 3 for 6 in the games that he kind of snuck into. That's super exciting for an 18-year-old kid in Major League spring games, getting not 1, not 2, but 3 hits, while he was in there. How that translates, we'll see. But again, he got hot last August. Staff believe in all the tools. I'm really actually excited about Simon Juan as a full season FCL guy. I think he could put up some really strong numbers. And again, he's another high bonus guy. So there were some expectations, but I think he's going to start meeting them really well in 2024. The last guy, last but not least, you got to talk about him, Jeffrey Barry Bonds Rosa. He's here, ladies and gentlemen, and he's beautiful. He looks like he's going to obviously be listed on the roster. He is stateside, going to be in the FCL. Jeffrey Barry Bonds Rosa. If you haven't seen me incessantly talk about him through last summer, he ended up playing 44 games last year in the DSL. 44 games, 13 doubles, 15 home runs in 44 games. So how is that going to translate? God only knows. But I'm super excited about Jeffrey Barry Bonds Rosa. When I was talking to some of the Mets staff last season, they even were kind of laughing too because they were like, some people were trying to already give up on Jeffrey Rosa from when he first started early on after his signing, and then all of a sudden he puts up what he did last year. It's ridiculous. And my understanding is that to go along with the Barry Bonds power, I'm told Jeffrey Rosa is a very strong outfielder. I believe it's going to definitely be corner outfield one way or the other. But again, they love his arm. They basically said that Rosa has the strongest, or if not top three strongest arms in the Mets minor league system. So, hey, how can I project that? Is he a future Marte with an arm? Maybe. To have that strong of an arm, he's a huge kid. If you've seen some of the videos, I'm super excited about Jeffrey Rosa. I need to see how the overall hit tool obviously is going to come into play. How is the K rate going to look? Even in FCL with a monster like this, if he's some kind of like Marte arm and Alonso bat, I need to see the K rate even in the low minors just to see if there's any kind of concerns. I want to see how the hit tool is going to play overall. But again, Jeffrey Barry Bonds Rosa, depending on what he does this season, even in the lowest of levels of sorts, stateside in FCL, can he jump all the way to the top 10 in Mets prospect lists? Maybe. You could probably throw him into the top 20 just based on his stats alone. But because it's the DSL, we always got to slow our brakes. I don't know how much it's going to translate. Although I was very excited about some of those monster numbers like an Andres Jimenez, who now is a major league regular. So it's just so few and far between. But when you hit 15 home runs in 44 games at any level, no matter who the pitcher is in professional ball from DSL on up, you got to pay attention. So again, those are some of the breakdowns that I have. Sorry if I missed a few of the players you guys were excited about. I know there's a lot of fans out there of the Mets minor league system now, and I know a lot of guys more and more are following a lot more DSL kids, which is super exciting for me to see as a minor league junkie. So I'll keep trying to follow along more guys. I'll try to get as much info and intel as I can on the other players on the team, on the roster as the season goes on. But again, hey, obviously, please, everyone, if you can, please, please, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to be able to keep trying to do this for as long as I can, provide all the info I can. I'll even try to get interviews. I'll do everything I can, even from the FCL all the way on up. Thank you for following and supporting, and take care.